Snow struck the bench before he did. Kadeem Park brushed it off with the side of his gloved hand, sat and stayed still long enough for the city to forget he existed. His phone vibrated once in his coat, then again. He ignored it. Somewhere behind him tires slowed. Somewhere above him light flickered. Somewhere far away men waited for his next decision. But for now Kadeem Park did nothing. That was when the woman ran. Not toward him, past him, heels skidding slightly on the ice, breath sharp, coat half-buttoned, phone clenched in her hand like it might jump away. She stopped 2 steps beyond the bench, turned as if reconsidering the entire night, then looked directly at him. He didn't look back at first. He listened. People always revealed themselves in the pause. "I'm sorry," she said quickly. "I know this is strange." He finally turned his head. She was composed in the way people became when they had practiced being composed too long. Early 30s. Eyes alert, tired, defiant. Snow melted on her hair and she didn't bother brushing it away. "I don't have a boyfriend," she said, voice steady but thin. "Can I spend a day with you?" Kadeem stared at her, then glanced once, only once, at the dark sedan idling across the street. Its headlights dimmed. He looked back at her. "People don't ask me things like that," he said. "I know," she replied. "That's why I asked." Silence stretched. Wind slid between buildings. Somewhere a siren wailed and died. "You should leave," Kadeem said, "before you regret standing this close to me." She swallowed, then shook her head. "I already regret everything else." That was the first mistake he made that night. He stood. The men in the sedan straightened. One hand lifted toward a radio. Kadeem didn't look at them. He focused on the woman. "What's your name?" he asked. "Mireya." "Last name?" She hesitated. "Cole." He nodded once. "You have 1 hour." Her breath released in a rush she hadn't realized she was holding. "Thank you." They walked without touching. Not because of distance but because proximity carried weight. People gave them space instinctively. Not because of her, but because of him. Mireya spoke first. "You didn't ask why." "I don't ask questions I don't want answers to." "Do you want the answer?" He considered. "Not yet." They crossed into Hanseong Night Arcade. Lights buzzing overhead, vendors calling out in practiced cheer. Steam rose from metal trays. Mireya stopped at the first stall, stared too long at the food, then laughed softly at herself. "I forgot how hungry I get when I stop pretending I'm not." Kadeem watched her order dumplings like it mattered. She ate like she'd earned it. "You live here?" she asked between bites. "I survive here." She nodded as if that made sense. "I don't live anywhere," she said. "I sleep in places." He studied her more closely now. The way her eyes tracked exits. The way she angled her body when someone walked too close. The way she kept her phone face down but never far. "Why me?" he asked. She didn't answer immediately. Then, "Because you looked like someone who wouldn't lie to me tonight." That amused him. Not enough to smile, but enough to breathe differently. They moved again. Past old brick. Past narrow streets where history leaned in too close. The city softened as the night deepened. "You're not afraid," Kadeem observed. "I am," Mireya said. "I just decided not to let it choose for me." The sedan appeared again at the corner, farther this time. Kadeem's jaw tightened. "You're being followed," she said quietly. "So are you," he replied. She stopped walking. Turned fully to him now. "What does that mean?" "It means," he said evenly, "you didn't choose me by accident." Her expression flickered. Something like surprise, something like relief. "Neither did you," she said. They stood there, understanding sharpening between them. A boy tugged at Kadeem's coat. He looked down. The child held paper cranes in small, cold hands. "Buy one," the boy said. "For warmth." Kadeem reached into his pocket automatically, then paused. "For warmth," he repeated. The boy nodded seriously. "People forget." Mireya crouched, smiled at the child. Forget what? How to be warm, the boy said, then ran off before either could respond. Mireya straightened slowly. Kids say strange things. Not strange, Kadeem said. Honest. They walked again, slower now. Toward Dian Ferry Pier, where the water breathed quietly against wood. You never answered, Kadeem said. Why you're here? She leaned on the railing, eyes on the dark water. Because my company is about to change this city, she said. And I needed to see what that actually means. He went still. Change how? He asked. By removing things that don't belong anymore. The cold sharpened. That includes me, he said. She didn't deny it. They faced each other, truth finally exposed between them like a blade laid on a table. I didn't know who you were, she said quickly. Not really. I knew enough, he replied. And I still said yes. The sedan crept closer. Leave, he told her. Yow. She shook her head. You promised me a day. That promise can get you killed. She stepped closer. So can mine. For the first time in years, Kadeem felt something crack. If this story is pulling you in so far, pause for just a second. Make sure you're subscribed, like the video, and leave a comment about what you think Mireya is really hiding. You'll want to be here for what happens next. Kadeem's phone buzzed. He answered without looking. Stand down, he said into it. All of you. Pause. Then, that's not a request. He ended the call. You dismantled something, Mireya said softly. I'm dismantling everything, he replied. The harbor lights flickered. Snow fell harder. Tomorrow, she said, voice trembling now, I'll board a plane and pretend tonight never happened. You won't, he said. How do you know? He reached into his pocket and placed a bronze harbor token in her palm. Because you'll carry this, he said. And remember. Their fingers brushed. Neither pulled away. Dawn edged closer. 3 months later, Mireya Cole left her office early for the first time in years. She returned to the park bench. And someone was already there. The man on the bench wasn't wearing a suit. That was the first thing Mireya noticed. No tailored coat. No bodyguards at a distance pretending to be strangers. Just a dark sweater, gloves folded beside him, posture relaxed in a way that felt unfamiliar on him, and yet unmistakably him. Kadeem Park didn't look up immediately. He watched the snow settle, melt, disappear. You're late, he said. She let out a breath that felt like it had been trapped for months. You didn't say we were meeting. I said I'd be here. She sat. The bench creaked between them the same way it had that first night. For a moment neither spoke. Silence no longer felt like a threat. It felt earned. You look different, she said. So do you. She smiled faintly. I stopped running my company like a battlefield. And I stopped running a battlefield like a company. She turned toward him then. Is that really possible? He nodded once. Everything collapses eventually. The smart ones choose when. She studied his face, searching for guards that weren't there, danger that didn't immediately show itself. Did anyone die? No, he said. Because I didn't give them a reason to. He absorbed that. You dismantled an empire for a stranger. For a moment, he corrected. That reminded me I was human. The wind shifted. Snow brushed their shoulders. Why every Tuesday? She asked. He hesitated, then answered honestly. Because you said you hated Tuesdays. You said they were the days you felt most alone. She closed her eyes. I didn't think you remembered that. I remember everything you said when you thought no one was listening. They sat again in quiet. The city moved around them, unaware it had almost lost something important. You know, Mireya said, when I went back everyone congratulated me. The deal closed. The project launched. They called it visionary. And you? He asked. I kept touching the token in my pocket, she said. Like it was the only thing anchoring me to something real. He watched her carefully. Did you tell them about me? No, she said. I didn't want them to turn you into a story that wasn't true. What am I, then? She met his gaze fully. You're the man who didn't let me disappear. He exhaled slowly. And you're the woman who made me stop hiding. A group passed nearby, laughing. One of them glanced at Kadeem, frowned, then kept walking. No fear. No recognition. I'm not who I was, he said quietly. And I can't be who you need if you're still living inside glass walls. She nodded. I resigned. He looked at her sharply. You what? I resigned, she repeated. Not because I failed. Because I won. The words hung between them. I want to build something that doesn't require me to bleed for it, she continued. I want mornings that aren't meetings. I want conversations that don't feel like negotiations. And what do you want from me? He asked. She didn't answer right away. Then simply, truth. He gave a small, genuine smile. The first she'd ever seen. You should know, he said, there are still consequences. I know, she replied. I've lived with them my whole life. He stood, offered his hand, not as a shield, not as protection, but as an invitation. Walk with me, he said. He took it. They moved through the park, not ahead of each other, not behind, together. Snow fell lighter now. The bench faded into the distance, just another object in a city full of stories. At the edge of the path she stopped. What happens next? He thought for a moment. We start small. She laughed softly. I don't think either of us knows how to do that. We'll learn, he said. Slowly. She squeezed his hand. No titles. Agreed. No secrets. He met her eyes. Only the kind that take time. They stood there as the city breathed, no longer cold enough to hurt. Before the screen fades, if this story held you even for a moment, subscribe, like, and comment what you think happens next for Kadeem and Maria. Your support helps stories like this find the people who need them. Some connections don't save the world. They just save the people inside it. And sometimes, that's enough.